Hey, Jeremy here from Lat SEO. In this video, I'm walking through a full keyword research and content plan for Midway Manufacturing to look at their website in more detail, see what needs to be done, and see what keywords and phrases they should be ranking for to help generate more targeted, conversion-focused traffic for them. And before I get into the content plan structure, let's look at Ahrefs here. And a couple things I like to do with this tool first is just looking at current traffic to see if there are any major opportunities there. Looks like they do not have a ton of traffic right now, so huge gap and massive potential for them from this perspective. Secondly, looking at backlinks data, we can see here DR 4 out of 100. If you're unfamiliar, DR stands for domain rating and essentially is a measurement of how strong or how authoritative a website is. And in this case, you might think DR4 is extremely weak because it's on a 100-point scale. But the interesting thing about DR is, number one, it's not an official ranking metric. Number two, it is always relative to or compared to the sites you're competing against. So if all of your competing sites are DR 1 through 5, let's say, or 1 through 10 even, then a DR4 is not that far out of the ballpark. But if you're competing against 50s or 60s or 70s or higher, then a DR4 has a massive gap and a huge opportunity to work on from a link building perspective as well. Now, all that being said, since there's not a lot of keyword data or traffic data here to work from, what we can do is look at the site itself to see, are there any major opportunities in here that we could potentially focus on or look at? And it looks like they do have some information about custom hydraulic cylinders, accessories, and customer service. So if we go into cylinders here, we can look and see what kind of cylinders they have. And one way to, there are so many different ways to build content strategies and do keyword research. But one of the ways to do this would be to look at this page here they already have and use AI to help us understand and build a content plan, basically. So that's what I'm going to do. If we go to ChatGPT, and what I want to do is take the URL here and go into GPT, and let me zoom this in slightly. I am building a detailed conversion-focused keyword plan and content plan for, put that URL in here, we'll delete that internal page. I want to have a comprehensive list of keywords and phrases this site should rank for that, let me remove my video, that would make sense for them to drive targeted, conversion-focused traffic. These keywords should be highly commercial and or transactional and very closely related to the current products, services they offer. I will copy an entire page of content outlining current offerings. I want you to build me the comprehensive, spelled incorrectly, keyword and content plan I can use to build content for. Spelled that incorrectly as well. And the cool part is ChatGPT can understand that and will still give us a great output. So we copy this whole page here, everything they have here, and copy, go into GPT, keep those misspellings in there for fun, and paste this in. And then we will see what this gives us. And as this is going, what I've done is set up a sheet here so that we can stay a little bit organized. And then the cool part about this too is once we get this list of keywords and data, what we can do is organize it, of course, and then start to build out and understand how some of these pages work together and how to map different keywords to these pages as well, which I'll walk through some of those processes here. So if we go back to this here, comprehensive keyword and content plan. So we have core transactional keywords, high intent. These should target buyers actively searching for hydraulic cylinders and related specs. So these would make sense there. Content opportunity, create a main service or product page optimized for hydraulic cylinders for sale, custom and standard models, introduces Midway, highlights 36-month warranty, and links to subpages for each. And they kind of have that already with the cylinders page. So it would make sense to optimize this instead of high quality cylinders. Let me just confirm this is an H1. And this looks like is an H1. So that's good. At least that's optimized from that perspective. This wide range is either an H2 or an H3, I would guess. H3. So they do have some technical issues there. And what I mean by that is, as you are working on optimizing a page of content, H1 and H1 tag or H tags are tags that you put into the code of a website to let search engines know that this keyword or phrase or information within this tag is an important keyword. And we generally want to have one H1 per page that is optimized for the keyword or phrase you want to rank for. Then we want to have in sequential order, H1, H2, H3, and then you would have H3s underneath the H2s. And if I do, let me go to a doc here and I'll show you what I mean by this. So generally you would have H1, which would be a primary keyword. And this, you'd usually have one per page. And you would have an H2. And this would be a secondary keyword or a main subtopic on that page. And you could have as many H2s as you want, as long as it makes sense and is related to the H1 generally. Then you would have H3s that would be tertiary keywords or another basically a subtopic. And from a sequential standpoint, the way you would have this structured is if I make this a bulleted list, you'd have H1 primary, and then you'd have H2s next, and then H3s would be nested under the H2s. And then you'd have H3 here, and then if you want to, or have another topic, you'd have an H2 that would be nested like this. And then same thing, you would continue on with your H3s that would, again, be nested like this. Now, what I'm seeing here on Midway is if you recall what I was just saying, we have H1 and then we are missing the H2. So their content looks more like this. And this is a structure that search engines can understand better. And generally from a technical SEO perspective, it's more sound technically to have it sequentially, H1s, H2s, H3s, H2s, H3s, and so on. And you could go all the way down to H6. Most times within most content, the lowest you would usually need would be H3, but you could go beyond that if you needed to. So that is a strategy to make sure that if you are building content and you're using H tags within your content, which you should, then make sure that you have this hierarchy set up correctly. Okay, so back to this here. Product line, series specific keywords. Each series can be its own SEO landing page targeting buy and spec intent. Okay, so there's that. Specification-based keywords for bore, stroke, and pressure. Hydraulic cylinders, 3-inch. Industry use cases. These are really good pages always. And for a number of reasons. Number one is somebody oftentimes is looking for how you can help them specifically with their application or with their use case. And from a keyword perspective, if you have content and you offer services or products that are specifically related or specifically used for a certain application or for a certain reason, having content about that and how you can help with that is going to make your potential customer understand better how you can help them. And that, yeah, these would be great pages for them to build out. Replacement and maintenance keywords, of course, and then commercial modifier, B2B. So hydraulic or manufacturer, bulk, wholesale, factory direct, things like that. Those are also extremely solid keywords to have. And this is a process that can work very well, especially with B2B style companies, manufacturers, things like that, to have those types of keywords built out with all of your different offerings, because people are looking for manufacturer type keywords or bulk or mass order, whatever. There's so many different variations. Actually, I'm doing this content process for a client right now, and it is working extremely well. So I would highly recommend this as well. Content plan structure, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Okay, so this, now again, you, as you're looking through this, and I feel the same way right now, this seems kind of, it's somewhat organized, but it's definitely not something where I can just take it and run with it. So what I want to do is give me the entire content list so I can paste it into Google Sheet and stay organized. And actually, the other thing we could do is get the full keyword opportunity list and run it through Keywords Explorer here in a second so that we can see which of these would be best to focus on initially as well. So this, I don't like this output. Cancel that. Okay. Give me the full list of keywords we should work to build content for. So I check search volume and ahrefs. So this should output the full list here. And oftentimes I'll ask it to not include these dividers because then I have to delete them when I'm pasting this into Ahrefs. But either way, let's just put these in here, and I'll have to clean it up slightly because otherwise we'll get extra data we don't need or want. Oh man, of course it's not styled correctly in here. So we will look for these dividing topics here and see if I can capture them, because otherwise that'll mess up it'll just show that as a keyword that we don't need volume for. So that might be it. Let's see what happens. Okay, hydraulic cylinders for sale. So what we're looking at now, this is a list of 53 keywords, 2,300 searches per month, 4,800 global searches per month. And in general, 2,300 potential customers looking for what you provide, what you offer every single month is a massive opportunity for you, especially if your products or a potential sale for you is in the 5, 6, 7+ figure range. So hydraulic cylinders for sale, custom hydraulic cylinders. This is a good one for sure. And if we look here back at this, do they have anything on here about custom? They don't have anything on this page about custom. So let's look at, actually, let's do a site operator search. So what a site operator search is, if you're unfamiliar, is where you go into Google, and I'll show you in one sec, and type in site : and then the full URL. What this shows then are all pages on this domain indexed in Google. And the reason why this is important to look at is because we can see, first of all, how many pages are indexed. Secondly, are there any massive flags from an optimization perspective? Is the homepage indexed or not? And get some ideas about what's going on from that perspective. Then the other thing we could do is keyword modifiers. So you can run this search, the site operator search, and do a search to include a keyword or phrase. So this would be like custom cylinder. And that content is not on their site anywhere. So it's going to be extremely difficult for them to ever rank for something like custom cylinder because they don't have that content on their page anywhere, or on their site rather. And actually, you know what? Let's do a search for custom hydraulic cylinders. And same thing. They don't have that anywhere. So if you do not have content on your site or a page optimized specifically for a keyword or phrase you want to rank for, it's going to be nearly impossible for you to rank for that keyword, especially if there's any competition for that keyword. Now, in some cases, you will be able to rank for a keyword or phrase if you have a variation of it on your site. But if you do not have a variation or any part of that phrase anywhere on your site, it's going to be very difficult for you to rank, and in most cases, impossible. So huge opportunity here for them for this if they do any customization services. Now, I don't see in here, maybe they have something in here about custom. I'm not sure. That would be something to, obviously, as you're working with a company, to learn a little bit more about the exact offerings. But in this case, we're just doing a third-party outside analysis. Okay, so we have all of this list here. Now, give me the full breakdown of what pages I should build and give me the list I paste into a Google Sheet so I stay organized and properly map the page, title, content, and URLs for one spot. Now this should output something that we can use, and then we can start to build this content out. And this is giving us the suggested URLs as well, which is nice. And then we can look and see how these match up. And then the other part with this that you can use, if you build this format, this structure, is you can build your internal links in the content as you are building your content process out. And what I mean by that is, for example, if we know the domain is midwaymfg.com and we're writing a piece of content, so we'll just put this here for reference. So we know we have that domain. And as we're building, let's say we're building the custom hydraulic cylinders page, and we want to link to tie rod hydraulic cylinders. So as we're writing content on this custom page, and this page does not exist yet, you can still use that link and use a relative link. So we would say, we also offer tie rod cylinders, something like that. And you would just use a relative URL like this to link to it. And you would obviously add a link in your whatever content management system you have. And this would then turn into a link. And once this page is live, then that link would work. So then you wouldn't have to go back. And if you're doing this content process in one fell swoop, then you wouldn't have to go back and add internal links. Now, if you're not planning to make this page live for a significant time, then it would probably not make sense to do this because that link would not work unless that page is live. Okay, so this is quite the list here. So let's copy this, see what the output looks like as we paste it in here. Yikes. All right, so got some cleanup to do. Goodness. All right, well, let's see. We remove all of this bold, make this way smaller. Actually, that's not too bad. Except all of these things we don't need. And delete. And here we go. Now we have a pretty nice list of the content that could be built. And the next steps then would be to obviously build this content out. And the other thing that I would do in this case is start to build either content outlines or build the actual content. But if we look here at something like, let's see the primary keywords here. Let's just do this. I believe it's these two. Just make sure. Yeah, it is those two. Custom hydraulic cylinders and hydraulic cylinders for sale. So what you could do, a number of different things. First, if you have a tool like this, you can just click in here and get some ideas about other keywords to include within the content. So now we have custom hydraulic cylinders, custom made, near me, custom built, custom hoist for the marine sector. So then you can include information about the different sectors you service as well, like I mentioned earlier, but lots of opportunity there from that perspective. And then you can add a link to a either brief and or the article, start building these out. And I would use a tool like Neuron Writer, for example, to build out, and I've showed videos on the value of a content editor like that. What we would do is look and see the content length expectations. So if you look here at the key phrase, custom hydraulic cylinders, and we scroll down, this isn't always accurate. This shows that aggressivehydraulics.com has 0 words of content on this page, which is not true. This has 484, 484. It's interesting. 0, 0, 1200, 30, almost 3500, 600, 1700. So in this case, then, as a quick estimate, generally you would want to mimic what the top ranking sites are doing and go from there. But in this case, you might want to have a little bit more content than that. So somewhere in the 1,000-ish, 1,500-ish word range would get you likely in the expected range, and then allow you to also add in some of these variations of keywords and add in some of the variations of applications or sectors that you service as well. So that would be the process I would go through and start building all of this content out. And the other thing too, then, is to look at this and make sure that all of this makes sense. Some of these may not make sense, and that's fine. You don't need to have that content on your site then. But this is a quick and easy way to go about building content for your website and make sure that you include as many pages as possible so Google and AI can understand that you're an authority on the topic. So hopefully you got some value from this video. If you did, subscribe to my channel. I plan to continue posting videos like this, talking about process and strategies for the B2B and manufacturing industrial style brands to improve their SEO, rank better organically, and rank in AI as well. And that's it. I'll see you in the next one.